I'm Alex, and you're watching that Mental Ginger Show.
All right, troops. This episode of That Mental Ginger Show is recorded at Scuff Studios. If you're looking to do podcasts, music, or any creative passions, these guys will have you covered. For more information, contact Scuff Studios at scuff.studios.gla@gmail.com or find them on Facebook or Instagram and drop them a message. Scuff Studios, to nurture your creative passions. Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
No, thanks for the invite.
No, definitely. When I seen Andy's Man's Club, I was like, I'm Andy. I have male genitalia. This has to happen. Mm. It's like a prophecy.
And that's all you need. Andy's Man Club always finds a way to get into places. So
yep. That definitely sounded a little bit Savile-esque there. I was like, Andy's Man Club finds a way in places. But one thing I do like to do with my guests, the first thing I like to talk about is like their origin story, because that's one thing we've all got in common, is that we have an origins. So Alex, let's hear about you as the man first, and tell us about your origin story.
So me, just like any other normal man, just growing up, started part of my life in Glasgow, and then moved through to Perth, grew up, left school, worked in a shop, then went back to college, done some stuff at college, and then started working in the swimming pool.
Oh, nice.
And then from there, I joined the prison service in 2001.
Wow.
So I've spent the last 19 years working in HMP Perth up until COVID, and then kind of I caught COVID and went through quite a horrific experience with that, and ended up leaving the prison service and now work full time for Andy's Man Club since last March. So
yeah, what variant of COVID was it? What do you know?
So I had the first strain, so 4th of May 2020. So
wow,
and still suffering 22 months on. So with long COVID and things that kind of affect that as well. So
did you have to get hospitalised for it?
No, fortunately I was all right. Yeah. I got sent through to the hospital one day, but I got assessed and then sent home, thankfully. So
yeah,
because I know once you're in there, some people want to get out of it. So
yeah,
it was a horrendous few months, and as I say, we're still fighting some at 22 months later. So, but we're getting there.
Yeah, slowly but surely. Thankfully. So, what was it like working in the prison service? I actually had a guest on who'd been in prison, and was talking about like from their kind of side, from the prisoner's side, like the divide between the prisoners and the guards, all that kind of stuff. Before like the guards, what was it like for you? How did you?
I loved my job, and I was fortunate that I knew quite a lot of retired prison officers through the bowling, and a lot of them says this is what you need to do, this is how you need to speak to people, and I went in with the attitude that we're all human beings. And they're there because they've made a mistake, and it might not even be their fault. It might be family circumstances or childhood that's led them into the prison. So I always try to treat everyone the way I would want to be treated. So if they treated me like a cunt, and I treated them the way they treated me. So but if they spoke to you with respect and a bit of dignity, then you treat them that way back, because they're in there. The punishment has been in there, so we don't need to punish them any further. So in the last few years, I worked in the gym environment, so it was a totally different conversation. Guys actually wanted to be in the gym. Yeah. So they speak to you totally different because you're not wearing a white shirt. You're running about in shorts and T-shirts and playing football and tennis with them. Yeah. Taking them for circuits. So it's a totally different relationship, and guys wanted to talk to you. And that was one of the reasons we got involved in Andy's Man Club, because we're doing stuff for the guys' physical health. Yeah. We wanted to do something for their mental health. And then discovered Andy's Man Club and got involved with that and brought it up to Scotland. And the first group was actually in HMP Perth in September 2017.
Wow. Right, so I've got to ask, is there a prison five-a-side football team?
There's quite a few teams. So
do they do it like a proper, do they have like a prison league?
They used to. Wow. Now it's just staff that play against each other. But we've done it in the past. We've run like prison comps. So we've had organisations come in and play five-a-sides with some of the prison teams as well. So
wow,
it does happen.
That's really cool. You'll find that about me. I'll pick up something that'll just fascinate me, and I'll want to find out a bit more about it. It's like, do they have like prison Wimbledon?
Well, soft tennis. It's indoor tennis, so we played. So you were always having, you'd have a summer competition, you'd have Christmas comps as well. So you'd have lots of different things: badminton, tennis, handball. whatever it may be. Do you know what I mean? Just to
who was
keep
who was like the
entertained.
Andy Murray of like soft tennis, like for the
So
present?
that was one of my colleagues, Craig. So he would just beat everyone, and
Wow.
he would take twos on at one time and still beat you. Do you know what I mean? He was just
so you'd be playing like handicap matches and still kicking everybody's butt.
Kick everyone's ass. So.
Wow, that's amazing. So what got you into Andy's Man's Club?
So again, I was looking for a project for work, just looking to do something for the guys' mental health to give them a wee bit of support while they're there. Came across one of the first campaigns that Andy's Man Club ran, but across social media was it's okay to talk. So it was just people sharing selfies saying it's okay to talk. And I came across Ricky Gervais on Twitter, who I followed, and just Googled what he was doing.
Yeah.
Watched the video on the website and basically heard Andy's story and why the group was started in the first place. And something inside me just says, I need to get involved in this. Primarily for my own mental health. I mean, I've struggled with mental health all my life. So it was something that I wanted to get involved in. And if it took off in the jail, then it did. If not, I could still do it in the community. So we got in touch with them, went down south to meet them, Luke and Elaine, Andy's mum, and got involved that way. Went down to a meeting, really enjoyed the actual going to Andy's Man Club. It was just like, wow, that's something that I've been missing from my life. Do you know what I mean? It's like I've really struggled in the past 7-8 years with my mental health. I tried to kill myself as well. And I never ever shared my story with anyone. And then the first time I went to Andy's Man Club, I just like got the ball and blurted out my whole story and passed the ball to my mate. And he kind of just looked at me with shock on his face, going, "Why have you never told me that before?" Because guys don't talk about stuff they're going through. So once I'd experienced that meeting for the first time, I was like, "Nah, this is something I have to do." And we started the groups in Perth. So we had the jail group started. And then 2 weeks later, the community group started. And it was something that we didn't know how the journey was going to go, but we're now sitting here almost 5 years later, and we've got 21 clubs in Scotland off that one group, so 92 in the UK, which is absolutely massive. So
that's brilliant.
It's just getting bigger and bigger each week.
Yeah. So for any maybe any of my listeners that aren't aware of Andy's Man Club, like explain like the premise, like explain like Andy's story, what drive it home for us. So
Andy's Man Club was started in 2016 after the suicide of a young man from Halifax, Andy Roberts. And obviously his death created a huge void in the family, and it was something that obviously devastated Luke Ambler, who was his brother-in-law, and his mum Elaine, and they came up with the concept of a coffee group for men, just to sit in a room and chat about their weeks and get shit off their chest. Put a post out on Facebook, as you do in this modern era, and due to the response, they had a meeting less than a week later, and 9 guys actually turned up to the first meeting, and it's kind of grown from there. Wow. So other guys were travelling into Halifax, attending the meetings and getting something out of it, wanting to get involved in the organisation, becoming facilitators. Then they opened in their hometowns, so we then went into Bradford, Leeds, Huddersfield, and kind of grew that way. And when we opened the community group in Perth, we were group number 10. Back in 2017, and we were averaging about 130 guys a week, which at that point was massive. Do you know what I mean? We thought we were helping a lot of guys. Fast forward 5.5 years, we're helping almost 1,700 men a week coming to the meetings on a Monday night. So the meetings themselves are pretty straightforward. It's random rooms across the country. So we're in fire stations, we're in football stadiums. We're about to open in a lighthouse down south in Cumbria. So it's all these weird, wonderful places that we've got a room full of guys sitting in a circle running through 5 questions. And we use our version of the talking stick, which is a foam football. Yeah. So it's like a big, massive stress ball. So even the guy's really struggling to talk, he talks to the ball. And he can squeeze and chew in. We've had guys biting it and poking it and picking holes in it. So it's quite a good focus for the guys to sit there and talk to. And we go through 5 questions. The first 3 are always the same. So number 1's, how's your week been? So just a general catch up with the guys to see how they're getting on. Number 2 is 1 positive for your week. So even if that guy's really struggling, he's having a shit time, we can find a positive. He's actually walked through the door. So I mean, he's come to Andy's Man Club and look, I'm needing help. Do you know what I mean? I'm needing support. And number 3's in to go off your chest. So we hear all sorts. So it could be debt, it could be addiction, it could be relationship breakdown, unemployment, or you might have been late for work, or you kicked the car or smashed the car. Whatever's bugging you, that's your opportunity to get it off your chest. We then stop for a break, and that's where the peer support comes in. So Andy's Man Club doesn't promise to fix you and your problems, but will support you to fix them for yourselves. So if I'm sitting there in question 3, I share something that I'm going through and struggling with, someone else in the room might relate to that and have maybe been through something similar, so they can share their experiences and how they dealt with it, who they maybe spoke to or what organisations they got involved in. And that's where that peer support and brotherhood comes from. And the guys start to look after each other, right? So then we get back together for questions 4 and 5. And they're positive neurological response questions. So loosely based on CBT. Yeah. But it's about enforcing the positives as well. So there's a lot of reflective practice in there. So there could be goal setting or targets you've achieved or something positive you're going to do for yourself in the next week. Or it could be random daft questions like, what's your favourite sandwich topping? Or the other week we had, what way do you put your toilet roll on? Are you over or under? Mullet or beard? Do you know what I mean? Right. So you can imagine the answers to some of these questions. It's hilarious. Do you know what I mean? So we've had all this heavy, deep, dark stuff. Yeah. It can be quite, wow. Do you know what I mean? It's really harrowing stuff. And then you're rolling about the floor killing yourselves laughing. Yeah. Right. So I've got to ask, mullet or beard? So I'm a beard, as you can tell. Right, I'm a beard. Well, I had to readjust mines and go mullet because that's what the wife does. Yeah, but mine does it as well. But I always turn it around. Do you do it deliberately just to tick her off? No, because she does it because it ticks me off. The reverse psychology there. I like that one. You're like, it's the wife's fault. Well, that's why I do the podcast. I'm like, the wife kicked me out. So you'd said that obviously you'd went through a bit of a dark time, and I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. Cheers, but for first thing, massive props for saying it. It takes real balls to do something like that. Been there, done that. Got a t-shirt now, literally. What did you find was like your ways of when getting out of that place? What were your kind of like coping strategies to get if you feel comfortable talking about it? 100%. For me, it was exercise. You know what I mean? I started training hard, and then I got my job in the gym, and I was training 3-4 times a day. Wow. And that's what I used for getting better. I was on the way up. I was in a really good space when I discovered Andy's Man Club. And it's helped me through things like COVID. Do you know what I mean? I struggled through COVID mentally and physically. And it has helped me, and I know that if I'm having a bad week, I know I'm not too far away from Monday night. I can go and get shit off my chest. Yeah. But exercise has always been a big one for me. Just to get me, if I'm struggling, I'll go and smash a machine or do a circuit or hit a bag or whatever it is, just to make yourself feel better. Do you know what I mean? For me, endorphins is the biggest high that I can get. I absolutely love endorphins. It just lifts you up. It just makes you feel so much better. And it's something that, when I was starting to feel down and neglected, do you know what I mean? I stopped exercising, I stopped playing football, and you notice a huge difference. Yeah, definitely. Well, before we came on here, you'd mentioned that you're a fan of the basketball, and you're also you're a big guy. What height are you, if you know exactly? 6'9". 6'9". Yeah. Wow. So officially a giant. And over 6'6" is a giant. So there you go. Is that over 6'6"? Fact for the day. Wow. Fraser, you're a giant. Right, so have you played basketball, or I played basketball at school, so many moons ago. Yeah. And just, it's one of these things that one of my pals ended up working for the Glasgow Rocks just before Christmas. Nice. And got us through, and we went through a couple of weeks ago, and we had an awareness stall at one of the Rocks games. And got a lot of people coming up and talking to us about Andy's Man Club, and they were shouting about us on the tannoy and that, so it was really good. So it was good to meet some of the players, because they were all keen to hear what we were doing, and getting guys talking. So hopefully there'll be more work like that. After speaking to the GM, he's keen to support us, and we're keen to support them as well. It's about Andy's Man Club going out there and creating partnerships. Yeah, definitely. We don't want to come and do one thing and then you never see us again, because that's not going to achieve anything. We can't reduce the suicide figures on our own. We've got to do it with other people that are passionate about trying to challenge these stigmas that are out there, that big boys don't cry and you should man up. And definitely. When it actually takes, like you say, it takes bigger bollocks to stand up and say, I'm struggling. Do you know what I mean? Or show emotion in front of your peers. Do you know what I mean? Is absolutely massive. Yeah, definitely. Well, how do you go about making these connections? Do you go out and do them, or is there a specific team that do it? What's the process of getting the word out? So we've now got we've expanded our staff team. So there's now 8 staff that work for Andy's Man Club. So I'm a project development champion. There's 4 of me. So there's another 3 guys based down in the office in Halifax. Wow. We've got a marketing boy, and we've got 3 office staff. We call them office angels. That basically we're all out doing stuff. We're all out raising awareness. We're supporting the guys to run the groups. We've got about 500 facilitators. Wow. That give up their Monday nights just to open groups. Yeah. So these guys are out spreading stuff as well. Guys are sitting in Starbucks cost us wherever they're going, wearing the branding, and people are seeing it, and that's how we get the word out there. It's about making connections. It's about people like yourselves getting in touch. Do you know what I mean? Come on, do the podcast. That might lead to another couple of podcasts or another couple of connections that might get us in somewhere else. And we're working with a lot of big organisations now. We're working with Royal Mail, Wagamama, Asda. We're talking to Puma and Boohoo and loads of different organisations. And it helps them as well because they're ticking a box about doing mental health awareness. So we can come out, we can deliver an awareness talk, which is 40 minutes. We share Andy's story, share my own story, share how the organisation's grown. To go from that one club in Halifax to having nearly 100 groups. Yeah. So, I mean, with 1,700 men coming on Monday night. So as each man comes through the door, they then maybe go and tell another 4 or 5 men. And that's how it grows. And that's how we got all these connections, just by people getting in touch.
Well, you did mention like some of the companies feel like it's, what they say is like ticking a box. Well, and obviously I'm not wanting, any names of companies for this question, but have you ever felt like when you've went in that they've had that attitude of, we've ticked the box and it's just
you usually tell because it's the ones that are asking for absolutely everything. Do you know what I mean? They're asking for 20 presentations over the next 6 weeks and you're like, well, wait a minute, it says I've got other stuff to do. Do you know what I mean? So it's one of these ones that's the majority of the companies out there are brilliant. Do you know what I mean? They are absolutely fantastic because there's usually a why. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like Andy's Man Club's got a why, it's Andy. Do you know what I mean? So you find that if someone gets in touch with you and wants to support you and do things for you, it's usually because they've been affected by suicide or mental health. So they understand. It's like if someone goes and does the London Marathon for cancer research, it's usually because they've been affected by cancer, either themselves or a family member or friend. So that's how it works. So the majority of people that get in touch want to help because they give a shit. So I mean, they're human beings. They actually give a shit. And unfortunately, it's very few that people get in touch just to tick a box, but there is one or two out there, and it's the ones that you only see them once, and they'll not want to do anything else with you, which is cool. So, I mean, it's like Andy's Man Club. We don't say you have to keep coming. Some guys just come once or twice and then we never see them again, and that's cool. So I mean, it takes, like we were talking earlier, it takes all sorts to make the world go round. So we've got to have all different kinds of people supporting us as well as coming to the groups. And
it is one of the things that a lot of people have said before, like guys have been conditioned not to talk about their mental health. Like I've had guys come up to me saying that mental health doesn't exist. Well, there's no such thing as mental health, and it's not even like guys that are quote like of the past generation. It's like guys that are like my age or younger that have been taught, that have been conditioned to think like this. And so when you see like guys coming in, what would you say are the kind of, not the stereotypes, but the things that maybe what do you pinpoint, what the negative ones that have had these negative ideas in their head? What would you say are the kind of the biggest ones, the biggest stigmas that we need to break, to raise awareness?
I think that the biggest ones, obviously, we've got the toxic ones out there about masculinity, that big boys don't cry, man up. If you want to cry about it, go and see your mum. And I know I was brought up like that. I know my dad was brought up like that. That's why I was brought up like that. Do you know what I mean? So that's ingrained. It's things like burden. I mean, when I was going through what I was going through, I didn't want to burden my friends and family what I was going through because I thought I was the only one that was going through it. I didn't think anyone would understand. I didn't want to appear weak. Yeah. Because I was talking about my feelings and struggling and bubbling like a big baby and crying on my bedroom floor. So, I mean, I didn't want anyone else to see that. I was embarrassed because I didn't want my pals to take the mickey out of me. So I didn't want to open up. And that's what we get. Guys walk in the room and sometimes they don't know what they're coming into. They've heard of Andy's Man Club. They see us all over Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't know what I'm coming into. And then once they come in and go, wow, so I'm not on my own. I'm not the only one that's going through this. And if it takes all walks, honestly, you walk into the room and you're just like, you couldn't say, there's 6 guys, they all look the same. We all look different. Because we're all different. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, if he can talk about his feelings, like you said, I'm 6'9", covered in tattoos. If he can talk about his feelings, surely I can talk about my feelings. You know what I mean? And that just breaks all those stigmas down when they hear someone else talking about the shit they've gone through.
Well, you ever find that, like, I mean, I personally would find it from, probably as that kind of stereotype that if you see a guy who has, like 6'9", tattoos, maybe some that are built like brick shit houses, and they are talking about their feelings, you feel a bit more secure of talking about how you feel. And I always seem to have found that it's what everybody thinks, like the physicality of a guy is why people don't talk about things like, oh, I'm meant to be big and strong, and be seen as protector. But those guys need a hug as well.
100%.
Those guys need that wee bit of.
We all need a hug, don't we? We all need a hug every now and again. And I think that's it. It's like, it's not the manly thing to do to talk about your feelings. We'll go to the pub, we'll go to the football, we'll car share on the way to work. We'll talk about everything else, but we'll not talk about what's going on in our head. Yeah.
It's like, when I was growing up, I kind of got taught, I self-taught it. It was like the man hug. And you know, it's the one where it like starts off with a handshake, and then you put the one arm round, and it's like the 3 taps in the shoulder, and then you're like, yep, okay, right, that's cool, that's fine. I was like, and it took me a long time to feel like, I'm like, you know what, I am a hugger. I'm relatively small and I'm cuddly, aka I'm fat, but it means I'm good at hugs. And that was the way I always phrased it. I was like, come on, give me a cuddle. And it's amazing how I've known my best mates for almost 30 years, and I think I've maybe hugged them once in my entire life. And it's quite bad when you still feel like you have to do like the man hug to get away from it. And it's one of the reasons why we're doing the things that we're doing to try and break the stereotypes. Like, mental health is all right to talk about. It's like you said, it's okay to talk. Definitely. And it was one of the reasons that I'd reached out to you guys. Honestly, I've seen the work that you have done on the social medias. I've seen the work that you have done, like the groups that you've set up, and it's absolutely amazing.
Cheers, mate.
It's something that I really wish was around when I was going through my struggles and wasn't feeling good. I probably will end up back at some point.
And it's one of these things, you don't have to be suffering from mental health or suicidal thoughts. You might just want to get the house, and it's good to have positive influence as well. It means, you know what I mean, if guys are in good spaces, we say keep coming back, because if that new guy walks through the door, sees you, do you know what I mean? It's like, well, he's only been coming 8 weeks, but look at him, he looks happy, do you know what I mean? He looks content. Well, that could be you in 8 weeks if you keep coming, do you know what I mean? It's good to have a mix of all sorts, but the hugs, I was never a hugger growing up, never a hugger. And I went to my first meeting, Andy's Man Club, and it was like, they're saying cheerio to everyone and giving you hugs, and I'm like, what's going on here? But it's like, wow, and it just finishes the meeting off, So obviously it was difficult when we went back after the first lockdown, because it's like, no, I can't hug you, can't shake your hands, and it's like, fuck it, come here, give us a hug, because you need it. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you need it. It depends, especially if you've had a hard meeting or they've had a hard meeting. Do you know what I mean? It's good just to get that wee hug and a pat in the back, as you say, just to because guys know then it's going to be all right. If other people give a shit, then I'm fine. Yeah, definitely. And especially after COVID, I know a lot of people were hesitant about hugging, but that's when you need it the most. Because now that we're starting to come out of it, that's when I think that the trauma of COVID is starting to really take hold with people. Because we've lived through a pandemic, people have seen people die, but we've had to just kind of carry on and plod on because we didn't have an option. And now, especially that we're coming to the tail end and starting to see a bit of light in the tunnel, that's when the mental health services, like yourselves and hopefully this podcast, are really needed. Because I think this is our time to step up to the plate. Because one of the things I always remember when Caroline Flack, she took her life. It was just before the pandemic, and it was all be kind. And the second the pandemic hit, it was like all of that just went away. It all went away, and it really bothered me. Because as we spoke about off air, physical and mental have to be one and the same. If you're not well mentally, it can affect your physicality. Just like when you're not well physically, it takes a toll on your mental health. And it seemed that a lot of that was forgotten the second that COVID spiked. And I think now it is a reason why. It's the reason why I keep going. Now I think this is the time when guys like us need to step up. And I was like, I know you guys have got a lot of good positive messages out. And if I can get a wee bit more out for these, and it'll help, and it's one of these things that the COVID thing was a shared experience that the whole world's gone through. I always say we were in a pandemic before COVID with mental health, because the week before COVID we had 28 groups, but we were attracting 900 men. I mean, there was a crisis of 4,500 men a year take their lives. You know what I mean? So there was a pandemic before COVID. I just think the fact that we've all gone through something similar, but it's all affected everyone's mental health, because you're stuck in the house, or you're stuck in your garden, or you can't get out your postcode, or whatever it may be. We've all had that shared experience, and more people are willing to stand up and say, look, I struggled, or here's a space, or can I help out? Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why we've seen that massive growth, especially in the last 12 months. That we've gone from 50 groups last June to almost 100 groups at the start of May by the time we open the next few. It's like people want to get involved, people want to help because they've struggled through COVID and they don't want other people experiencing that. And I think that's, yes, the message of be kind was there for what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah.
And then it was just attack. And it's still going on with COVID. Do you know what I mean? People are still attacking each other on Facebook. But like you says, that the counterbalance to that is there's so much positivity on social media. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't for social media, we would have one group in Halifax.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We'd only be helping 30, 40 guys a week. Because we can get the message out on social media and portray what we want to portray and share that positivity and then other people share it and their people see it and then they share it. It's maybe helping other people through the storm and it doesn't have to encourage them to come to Andy's Man Club, but it might just help them through whatever they're going through. And I think we've got to embrace that positive side of social media and use it to make a difference. Do you know what I mean? Which is what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and even if it's not just coming to Andy's Man Club, if someone wants to do something similar in their own way, like just get their pals out for once a week and have a coffee and have a chat in a similar format, it's making that difference as well 100%. To those people. And they're essentially taking their own positive mental health into their own hands.
And there's loads of groups out there, do you know what I mean? There's loads of groups have started off the back of Andy's Man Club, and one of the first videos that Luke ever done, it was the night that they actually launched. He recorded an interview for Sky Sports. He used to play rugby league professionally. Yeah. So he was on Sky Sports talking about it, and he finishes the video off saying that it's like, you don't have to set up Andy's Man Club. Just set up whatever club you can. Just get guys talking. It's the only way we're going to save lives, and we've helped other people set up groups. So I mean, I've helped a couple of guys set up groups up beside me in Perth. On the outskirts. They don't meet on a Monday night, they meet on a Tuesday or a Thursday, which is brilliant because it's giving guys options. Do you know what I mean? If we all meet on a Monday night, then you're restricting everyone to go picking one. It's like, if Asda and Safeway and Morrison's were only open on a Monday night, you had to choose which one to go. You couldn't then pick and choose. Whereas if they're open all the time or different nights, you can go to all these groups. It's about building that support into guys. So guys, for example, there's a thing called Smart Recovery, which is about addictive behaviours. So our guys would go to us on a Monday night, and a lot of them would go to Smart on a Thursday because it broke their week up. Yeah. So they're getting that support Monday, Thursday, and they knew they only had a couple of days in between to cope. Yeah. And then they could go and get stuff off the chest again. So it's about finding what works for you. It's like we were talking earlier. It's not about just coming to Andy's Man Club or just going to Smart Recovery. It's about coming to the groups, doing exercise, yoga, mindfulness, whatever it is that gets you through. Do you know what I mean? We're all different. We're all complex. Yeah. So there's a place for NHS. There's a place for medication. There's all these things you have to use and find what works for you.
Yeah. And it's one thing that where it's more complex in the physical health is like you break your leg. It's in a cast, do the rehab. There's points that you're blotted out for to essentially quote unquote guarantee that recovery. With mental health, there's all different options. And I think what scares people about it is that you've got to put the work in yourself to find the bits that work for you. Yeah. Because somebody could say, go out and do some exercise, but they may have had trauma about being bullied for being fat as kids or whatever, and they'll want to do that. So it's okay, maybe you'll just need a bit more with the medication side, or maybe doing something creative, and that's. I think it's the fear of trying and failing to recover from mental health is what in my head when I first started trying to get better, what made me feel worse, because a lot of people said to me, go out for a walk or go out for a run, and I got bullied a lot for being fat and not being good at sports and all that kind of stuff, and I felt like that's the only way that I can get better. And then it was no, tap into your creative skills. You're an actor, you're a singer. That stuff made you feel good. Use that to help yourself and then help others. Don't get me wrong, everything in moderation, but do what works for you.
100%. And you've got to, like we say, we're all different. You've got to find what works for you first and foremost. And it could be just getting up and doing the garden or getting up and making your bed, but it's making wee small steps to improve whatever you're doing. A lot of people, and then that's the problem with some of the services. You say, right, you go to your doctor, right, you're on meds. I don't want to take meds, but that's all they've got. Yeah. Or you go to other services right, they tell you, if you get up in the morning, make your bed, go for a bath, you'll feel better. oh, but I don't like the bath. Do you know what I mean? I didn't fit in a bath, so why would I go for a bath? Do you know what I mean? So it's like you say, it's finding what works for you. It doesn't have to be exercise. It doesn't have to be creative. It's just whatever it is that gives you a lift. You know what I mean? It could be sitting reading a book. It could be jumping on your PlayStation. It could be whatever it is. Just do what works for you.
Yeah. Could be coming to Scuff Studios like every Sunday.
Yeah.
But we are starting to come up on time, so I'll ask you the one question I ask all my guests. I feel like you'll be in a lot more of a solid place to answer it. If you could give one piece of advice to anybody watching this podcast right now who's struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, what would that piece of advice be and why?
No matter what you're going through, it will get better. You know what I mean? You've just got to, if you're willing to reach out and speak to someone, there's people out there willing to listen. It doesn't have to be Andy's Man Club, like I said already. There's loads of amazing organisations out there that are willing to sit and listen. It's like I always say, there's every storm runs out of rain. So no matter what you're going through, you will get through it. It will get better. And sometimes we've just got to put the work in, but please reach out. It is okay to talk. And even if it's not Andy's Man Club, just find something that works for you.
Yeah, definitely. It's like every storm runs out of rain. Have you lived in Scotland lately?
Yeah. And the sun's shining in it. So
I know, it's crazy. This is why I have to hide in here. I'd fry like a vampire, man.
And I've seen you smoking when you're coming up the stairs. So
yeah, it was just that slight tinge that was coming out. I'm like, right, I need to get back inside quickly. Whenever I just thought someone was lighting up, and I was like, no, it was me that was lighting up. Alex, man, you've been an absolute pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Normally I would do like an Ask Andrew segment, you'd get to ask me a question, but I think because of the subjects that we've been talking about today and how much we've been doing and how much we're trying to raise awareness, I personally feel that this one doesn't need it.
Cool.
It's about you guys and the work that you're doing, and it's making a massive difference. What you are doing so well. I wish you nothing but continued success. And you know what?
And thank you for
this one. I know he's 6'9", but yeah, bring it in. I'll just go that. Okay, I'm down.
That looks wrong on camera, mate. Trust me.
Don't worry. It's all right. I might bring it in. It's my hug. But it's okay to hug, guys.
It is.
Okay.
It is. It's therapeutic, isn't it?
It really is. It does. It makes you, even just like that, it makes me feel so much better. I just be like, right, that's my guy. We're cool. We're all good. But I really appreciate you coming out. Let's get the word out there.
Yeah. And you're now part of that, helping share that awareness that it's okay to talk. So thank you guys as well.
Yeah, definitely. Until next time, my faithful followers, I've been Andrew Durnan. This has been the brilliant Alex Mcclintock from Andy's Man Club. Give a wee plug of when's your next meeting?
So every Monday night, 7 till 9. As I say, 21 venues across Scotland. So check out the website. There's a nice wee interactive Google map you punch your postcode in and it'll show you the nearest group. So
yeah, go to their socials, get in contact, reach out. As I say, it's okay to talk. So until next time, take care, stay safe. Bye bye.